Look at that. I got the right intro today.
Woo! Awesome. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Sales Grammar Podcast where we touch on topics on all things sales and leadership. I am your host, Lauren.
I am Sundance Brennan, and I once ollied over a trash can.
What?
Random fact of the day. I once was an amateur skateboarder, and I could ollie over a trash can.
That's awesome.
Nothing to do with sales. I just try to get a reaction out of you.
That's funny. I actually just learned how to skateboard this year.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right.
I only fell once. It hurt.
That's better than I did. All right.
Hey,
I got you all off kilter now, all off topic. So what are we talking about today, Lord? What's the sales grammar topic?
So today's topic is going to be the top five sales tips that you and I actually collaborated on a blog post that we posted, I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I was gonna say like 2.5 weeks ago, something like that. I remember this one. It was a good one.
Okay, if you guys want to follow along, you can just check out salesgrammar.com. Just hit the blog tab, and it's like 2 or 3 blogs down from the top. But yeah, so let's just get into it.
All right.
And today we get to hear you talk, Sundance, since sales is your expertise.
Bring it on.
Awesome. So number 1, we have be confident. I know for me, when I first started out, doing little sales gigs here and there, I would just kind of cower down and just be kind of scared. Like, I wonder what they think of me. Like, I hope I'm not bothering this person. Like, I'm trying to sell them something. Like, I need to make money. I don't want to lose a friendship. Like, maybe you're selling to a friend or something, but you're just like, I don't want them to think bad of me. And for me, it just got me a lot more no's whenever I tried to make the sale. But what do you think about that, Sundance?
Yeah, you will definitely run into a lot of obstacles if you do what we call sell scared. So if you sell scared, then it comes through and nobody will buy from you because it sounds like you are not sold yourself. And so when we say confidence sells, I look at this as if, hey, I am my first client. I am my first customer. I have to believe in it 100% before I can make that recommendation for you, Lauren. So before I can sell you this Tony Hawk skateboard or the Steve Caballero skateboard or whatever it is, right? I have to tell you like, hey, I believe in this. And so that way, when I'm selling something, it comes through, it's authentic, it's believable because it is the truth. And so the easiest thing in sales is to actually just be confident because you're selling something that you believe in. And there's no trick around this. There's no like cheap way to like skirt around it. If you were selling something that you don't believe in, like it's just unethical, right? In my opinion, ethical sales starts with having a product or service that you believe is really there. And so maybe it's just a case that you don't know enough about your product or service yet that you're not confident. And so that's okay. That's just education. That's learning some skills. That's picking some questions. That's just some practice, maybe some repetition. But it all starts with believing in what you're selling or what your product is.
Right. No, for sure. And also just like, I don't know, have you ever had someone try to sell you something and you're just like, oh, come on, man. Like, I don't want to be friends with you after this. Like, that's the one thing that freaked me out. Like, I just want to show my friend this really awesome product, but at the same time, I don't want them to think, hey, I'm just trying to make money off of you, Right.
You just see dollar signs in your eyes.
Yeah.
So one of the first experiences that I had in sales, and this is true for many, many people, especially like maybe a small business owner. Sometimes small business owners start off with something that's traditionally called like multi-level marketing or, like an Avon or an Amway or something like that. Somebody dabbles in sales that way where your entire job, used to be, it would be like talking to friends and family, trying to get them to order through this website or I'm old enough where it was just a catalog in those days. And you're literally trying to get them to buy a product from you via this service. And, that was always uncomfortable if you didn't believe in it. And maybe you didn't have the best products. A lot of those companies were fly by night unless you got involved in some of those bigger ones. But it's difficult to sell it if you don't believe in it. And then you don't want to steer your friends or family wrong. Right. So if you don't know for sure that it's the right thing to do, then you don't want to be someone who steers your friends and family wrong, because that's a reflection on you, and it could damage the relationship. So I've taken care of, predominantly, the last 15, 16 years I've been in mortgages, but I'm proud to say that I have taken care of so many family members, so many friends, mortgages and refinances. And I think it's because I'm able to try and put myself in their shoes and give them what I think I would do. And I always phrase it that way. If I were you, if I were in this situation, this is what I would be doing. I would recommend that for my best friend or, family member, or whatever it is. Do you see any other options, or would you like to go ahead and proceed with that?
Right. No, that's awesome. Yeah. Love that.
So we're with lots of confidence. All right. What's next?
Yes.
We'll confidently move on to number 2.
Yes. Okay. Number 2 is to listen. So of course, you want to, whenever you're first initially speaking with your prospect, you want to kind of get to know them a little bit, figure out, okay, like what's a good way to kind of, move this sale? How can I maneuver my pitch a little bit to make it more relatable to them? Because you want to be sincere when selling, and you want to be able to, hit them at not where it hurts, but
feels. You want to make sure there's some, there's a driving force behind that.
Exactly. But also just listen to how they're talking. I feel like this kind of coincides with I think it was the last podcast episode we had where, learning the different personality types, and not just knowing what personality you are, but who you're speaking to, because that can also kind of, get you to determine how your pitch is going to go as well.
100%. I think that the listening is more important than the words that you say, maybe, because you have to listen first. Yeah. So you seek to understand before being understood. I don't know who, somebody a lot more famous than I am said that. I think it's like Aristotle or something, right? Maybe it's Plato, but I think it's a very old phrase. And so in sales, there's another one. You were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them. Keep that ratio. And that is difficult because people who are drawn to the sales profession are, generally speaking, outgoing, love to keep a conversation flowing, they're talkers, they're gregarious, they're out, and it's easy for them to steer a conversation or to take control of it. And it's unnatural for them to sit back and maybe listen more, because when they're in a social situation, they tend to be the ones that kind of steer, and they might be the ones who, the instigators, in social situations. But sales conversations and sales situations are different than social situations. And so the same activities that you do in a social situation won't lead to success the same way that you will in a sales, scenario. And so learning how to be quiet and stop talking on purpose is a super valuable skill. Being able to, I think probably one of these items, I think, is probably asking questions. So I don't want to jump the gun too far ahead, but being able to listen when you ask the question, how can I help you today? Is something along those lines. Whatever your goal-oriented question is, what were you hoping we could do for you today? What did you have in mind? Whatever that is, being able to zip it and listen, and then read between the lines. So in a lot of businesses, in a lot of scenarios, customers, borrowers, clients, whatever your purchaser is, your buyer, they are going to have their guard up because they have been trained to avoid your sales tactics, your sales skills. So we have sales skills. We have the top 5 sales skills we're talking about today. Customers have the top 5 customer skills. And one of those skills is I'm going to put a box up. Here's my wall. And you're going to ask me, hey, Lauren, when you walk into a store and I say, hey, can I help you look at anything today? What do you say?
Nah.
You need to say, no, I'm just looking. Right? Yeah. You walk into a car dealership, somebody says, can I help you with something? No, I'm just looking. Right? Yeah. Same thing happens at legit, just Target or whatever. And we have been trained to just avoid the salesperson because we don't want to be sold. And so number one, learning how to do the questions, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But then if somebody does take the time to answer you, make sure you listen. So just be quiet, listen to them, and then try and figure out what it is in between what they're saying.
Mhm.
that makes sense. So if somebody says, I want to, in my business, predominantly mortgages, I can tell you before the phone rings that that person called in to save money and lower their interest rate. Guaranteed. Like those are the first two things that they're going to say because they think that's what they're supposed to say. They have been trained by the universe to say, I want to refinance my loan. I want to lower interest rate and lower monthly payment. But that's not really why they called in, is it? There was some like emotional factor that, is between the lines there that we haven't figured out yet, but there's some emotions. You said it earlier when you said, you kind of like pointed towards your heart and said, you get them where it feels. And
Yeah.
that emotion is what you're looking for. And you're not going to get that if you are talking all the time. Like I am. I'll be quiet now.
And I've had people, like I said, I've been on both sides, and I'm sure you have too. I'm selling, and then I've been the person someone's trying to sell to. And if I can't get a word in because the person that's trying to sell me something just keeps talking, I'm immediately just not interested.
You're shut down.
Immediately. I'm like, nope, I'll just let you finish talking. And then when you're done, I'm going to say no and be on my way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So number 3, we are going to have ask the right questions. So Sundance, I don't know if you want to continue carrying on with what you were saying, because I know you're referencing this tip.
I know I got on a rant there, didn't I?
That's fine. Let's continue.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of really cool techniques to pull additional information out of people. And maybe we should touch on that because asking the right questions. I mean, number one, you should probably have a written set of questions, what I would call digging deep questions or goal-oriented questions. In this scenario, what were you hoping to do? Or if money wasn't a problem, what would you want this solution to be? Or if I could wave the magic wand, what would you want to have happen? Depending on who I'm talking to, whether or not they're a little quirky, or if they want me to stick to the basics, or if they want me to have like business language, depends on who I'm talking to right then. But when they start to answer, sometimes they're going to give you that first inclination is, hey, what's the universe want? I should lower my rate and lower my monthly payment. Well, that's what the universe wants, but I have to ask them again in kind of a unique way.
Yeah.
And so an easy way to do that is just to repeat back the last few words of their sentence. So if somebody calls me and they say, Sundance, I just want to lower my monthly payment and lower my interest rate. Can you help me? And I'll say, lower your monthly payment? And then they'll expand because people don't like silence, but I've asked them a question. And so if I've asked them a question, even if it's simple, they're going to expand on the last thought they had. And I might do that 2 or 3 times, legitimately, like just repeat back the last couple of things they said. And it's a very easy technique. And so let's just role play it. Like we didn't practice this, but I'm just gonna put you on the spot. So You called in and I'm going to ask you, what would you like to do today? And Lauren, you're going to say, I want to lower my rate and lower my monthly payment, and just wing it, like come up with some kind of plausible scenario.
Cool.
So, hi, this is Sundance. How can I help you today?
Hi, I'd like to lower my monthly payment.
Oh, okay, great. Lower your monthly payment?
Yeah, I've got a lot of bills here, and I just redid my home and all this other stuff, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I just got a divorce, and bills are kind of tight, and I don't think I'm going to be able to keep my job either, and my wallet's crying, and I just really need to lower my monthly payment because
all right.
I'm crying now.
Right. But you saw how quickly that got personal. So I asked like 2 follow-up questions. That was it. So it's like peeling back an onion. So asking just 2 follow-up questions, and they don't have to be like dialed in like super magic questions. All I said was what you said, lower your monthly payment. And you went on, and you did some things for your house, and okay, your house is updated, and and then next thing you know, they're talking about their divorce and they're right, how much money.
It's personal like that sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. And like sometimes it's too much information.
Yeah.
But the more that they talk, the more that they like you, and the easier it is for you to find that solution that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. It's like they're pouring their heart and soul to you, and then they're asking themselves, wow, why did I just tell you all that? I can really talk to you. I trust you. And then they start forming that trust.
Mm-hmm.
I also like asking the yes questions. Like you want to get them to say yes. You don't want them saying no or, well, like You just want that one answer, like, yes. Like,
Yeah.
you need to lower your monthly payment, right? Yes.
Yeah.
And you have this going on. Yes. Okay. Well, then I suggest you take which payment plan you want. You want this one or this one? A, B, or C?
The slot close. So your yes close, slot close. This is an interesting topic, and I could go on this for a long time. This episode is probably going to be longer than our usual ones, just because I get passionate about this stuff. So I have been a yes addict for probably like a dozen solid years. Just a yes addict. I would get yeses, and I would go on a roll. And I was careful though, because I knew if I got more than 3 yeses in a row, people start to like, their brain starts to freak out a little bit. Like, why am I saying yes so many times? It's a trick. Like, is it a trap? And then they're on high alert. So I have recently switched it up. So not only am I asking for the yeses, so I ask for the yeses, but then I ask for a no. And so the possibility of saying no and the likelihood of saying no, and think about it, no is so final. So there's only one kind of no, but there's a whole bunch of yeses. So there's the yes that I get when I ask my kids whether or not they clean up their room. That yes is like, yeah. All right. It's kind of a question. Like, if I ask them about it again, they'll be like, well, I thought I did. Right? There's the yeah. But it's not, that's not a real yeah. And there is the like, if I ask you, hey, are we on Sales Grammar right now? Are we live?
Yeah.
You'd be like, yeah, yes,
Duh.
we're good. So that's a very short yes, and it's either yeah or yes, like affirmative, like that's just yes or no. It's black or white. And then there's the other kind of yes. It's just like, I'm kind of playing along with you, like just keep going, and then I'll tell you how I really feel later. So you want to save money, and you wanted to get a 30-year fixed mortgage, or you wanted to get a blue car, right? And sometimes I'll get this fake yeah that's just like, yeah, okay, but hurry up, can we get to the real good stuff? Can you tell me how much it is? And there's that brush off, yeah. And so there's all these different kinds of yeses. And really what we want to do, though, is we just want to shorten down that time frame. And so if you ask a hard no question, like, listen, tell me if I'm crazy. Feel free to tell me I'm crazy. Am I nuts to think that you want to drive out here with a car with a payment less than $400 today? And their answer is going to be no, you're not crazy.
No.
But I just closed you on driving out a car today with a payment less than $400, which is what you wanted anyway. I just cut through all the BS and got you to say no, Sundance, you're not crazy. That's exactly what I want. Mm-hmm. But you say no, and that no has finality because there's only one kind of no. And so then you start making up reasons why it's okay to drive out with a car today. At payment less than $400. It's blue or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So the no sometimes I've sprinkled in there. That was way more than you bargained for, huh?
Oh yeah, but I loved it.
That's not even in the blog post. That's just something I just kind of.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I actually learned something. I always learn stuff with you, Sundance.
We're sprinkling them in.
Oh yeah.
All right, what's next?
Okay. So number 4. Have a plan. Have a plan. So you're not just going to go and call somebody or meet up with somebody and wing it, unless you're me. Mm-hmm. I did that sometimes. Used to. Obviously now we don't do that anymore. But
that's right. You're part of the Sales Grammar team. You have a plan now.
Yeah, I have a plan now. But yeah, so do a little bit of research on your prospect. Facebook's a thing. Facebook stalk them. It's okay. Yeah. I mean, there's a limit there. Don't go crazy with that. But do
a little bit of a research on your subject.
Yeah. Find out when their birthday is. Like maybe they had a birthday that was recent. You want to start your conversation on a happy note. Hey, it's nice to finally get to talk to you. I understand you had a birthday soon. I mean, I guess it depends your relationship prior to this.
Yeah,
also,
what you're selling and who you're selling to is very important.
Exactly, because they'll be like, how do you know when my birthday is? It's a little creepy. There's a time and a place for that. But, find out, do they have a family? Because depending on what you're selling, maybe it's something that won't just benefit them, but could benefit their spouse or their children or, just the whole family, maybe grandma and grandpa. It could just see how far your product can extend back in the family tree. Mm-hmm. What else? What are they doing for a job? What hobbies do they have? Just kind of get to know them as much as you can. Maybe you have a really good friend that's friends with them, you met because of a mutual friend. You can ask the mutual friend a little bit about their personality and their background. That way you can just kind of, like we said, pre-plan your spiel, your little, yeah.
I'm a big fan of beginning with the end in mind, and it drives me nuts when salespeople in general do what we call winging it. They don't have a plan. They just know they're talented. They know that they have the gift of gab. They know that like they can just show up and magic happens. And that might be true. You may be a very personable, likable person, and Lauren, you are like you hit it off with folks, but if you don't have a plan necessarily, at the end of the day, you might get in a situation where somebody tries to back out of a deal or give you some kind of an objection. And if you don't have a plan to overcome that, you have to have more reasons for them to say yes than they have reasons to say no.
Exactly.
And you've got to prepare for that a little bit, at least have some kind of a course that you're walking someone through. And nothing is more uncomfortable. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. Nothing is more uncomfortable than working with a salesperson that doesn't have a process, and it just feels like they're bumbling through the whole process. I bought an RV recently. So it was a fairly substantial purchase. And, we talked to the salesperson and we talked to the manager, and it was very uncomfortable because they didn't have a process. They were like, oh, well, how are you going to pay for this? And I was like, well, I think you guys have like some kind of financing, recommendations, or I don't like you. This is your product. Yeah. I assume you wanted to make it as easy as possible for me to buy this thing. Right.
Yeah.
And so they didn't really have a process, and it was uncomfortable. And we actually went through several different dealerships until we found one that more or less like helped us run the gauntlet of how to purchase this. If you're a realtor, if you're in the real estate industry, as an agent, like you are the person who sometimes drags your client kicking and screaming through the gauntlet of getting a mortgage, getting a home inspection, getting, the foundation, the roof, like all of these things have to get done, several different contracts, making earnest money, like those things are mind boggling. If you are a layperson, you don't do this, several times a week. You have to be the real estate shepherd or the loan shepherd or the car shepherd or whatever it is for a certain amount of your clients. And so having a plan will close more deals, because then it gives people comfort. They want to be comfortable saying yes. They want to feel good about that decision. So ask them some questions, get to know them, like you said, and then have a plan and tell them what that plan is so that there's not uncomfortableness. And it's like going through a haunted house. You ever go through a haunted house? Are you a haunted house person? Once? I just ask you all kinds of crazy stuff while we're on air live. All right.
It's fine.
Haunted houses. So you go down like the spooky, hallway, and like stuff's gonna happen. Stuff's gonna pop out that you don't expect, but it's scary because you don't know when it's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. Well, going through a buying process with someone who is inexperienced or doesn't tell you what's going to happen can be scary like that, because stuff's going to hit the fan and you're just waiting for it as a customer. You're like, when is the other shoe going to drop? When are the surprises coming? When's the catch? And so they're expecting it, and it still freaks them out a little bit. And so they're anxious. They're on high alert. They're not sure what's going on. They got their defenses up. Where really, like those haunted houses, if you go through them during the daytime with all the lights on, it's not really scary. And it's the exact same. Right. So you just need to be the kind of salesperson that flips the switch, turns the light on, and tells them, listen, this isn't scary at all. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to walk down this hallway. We're going to take a hard left. Freddy Krueger's going to hop out, but it's okay. It's just a rubber mask. And then we're going to go down the hallway. Right? And that just makes all the difference in the world. So it's no longer a scary experience. It's all expected. And that will pay dividends for you down the long run.
Yeah, no, I actually like that analogy, but it's just kind of mind-boggling how they didn't have a plan when buying your RV. Like, they didn't just automatically say, oh yeah, you can finance it. We have A, B, and C options. That's just so funny.
It was very like loosey-goosey. It was just not a good sales process. And I think maybe height of the pandemic, people were just buying RVs left, right, and center. And maybe they just didn't have to be good salespeople to actually get it done. Like if they didn't sell it to me, they were going to sell it to somebody else who, just kind of stumbled through. It didn't really matter. But they might have, made it less work Maybe instead of talking to 2 or 3 people before they found somebody willing to do all the extra work, they would have just found one, and then they could have had extra time off. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very odd. Okay, well, we're on to our final tip.
Okay.
And I know this is one that you were teaching me a little bit, so I can't wait to hear you, talk about this one. But always ask for the business.
Yes.
Let's get down to business.
All right.
Okay.
A little karaoke action today, huh?
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Well, take us through this one.
All right. So always ask for the business. That just means give someone the next steps. Here's what happens. Here's how we do business. Here's how we actually close the deal.
Like we just talked about. How do you want to finance your RV? A, B, or C option? Pick one.
Pick one. And really that's it. I have heard a lot of people, there's a subtle difference between telling someone that you're going to ask for the business and actually asking for the business. And this is a very common error that I see. So people will say, okay, so here's how we move forward. You would choose financing, and then you would get that approval, and then you would call me back, and we would put a $500 deposit down. And then they just shut up. And they just are waiting for you, the customer, to say, okay, how do we do that? Or, can you show me that again? And they're waiting for the customer to ask, to close the salesperson, instead of the other way around. And we do that because we're self-preservation. We don't want to get told no. We don't want to be, we don't want to face that rejection.
Yeah.
But it puts the customer in a situation where there's silence, and half the time when there's just dead air like that, when we stop speaking not on purpose, then their reaction is, well, this is uncomfortable. Can you just send me that in an email, and I'll take a look at it, and I'll get back to you if I'm interested.
Yep.
And that happens all too often because people didn't ask for the business. And if you are a new business owner, a new entrepreneur, there's this great resignation that's happening right now. So there's a lot of people who are all of a sudden becoming consultants, or leaving their standard W-2 job, and they want to go out into the brave new world and open up an online business. And GoDaddy's sales are through the roof because everybody's buying domains right now. But if you can't get someone on the phone, your ability to sell and make money is going to be difficult, because the website alone won't do it all for you. The marketing won't. Sometimes you're going to have to get on the phone and sell someone. And I don't care if that someone's your vendor, or you might have to sell someone on giving you a cheaper product. That someone might be an investor. Very often, we're selling investors in our business, in our startups, and you have to close the deal. You have to ask for the business. So here's what we need now. We're looking for a valuation of, whatever. I need $200,000 to start this business. If you give just $50,000 today, then I'm 25% towards the goal, and you'll have, bragging rights, or, whatever. You'll be the largest investor, or, whatever that is, but ask for the checkbook. So can I get you to make that a commitment today? And that is very difficult. Asking that last question is hard, and we're not used to doing that in our social relationships. We have to do it in a sales type scenario every single time. And the more often you do it, the easier it gets, and it's no longer uncomfortable. And the people that you speak with, they don't even realize that it ever was uncomfortable, because you're fully confident that you're asking is the right thing to do, and it provides clarity. I don't even mind anymore if it's yes or no, right? If it say yes or say no, just don't say it slow. Like, are we doing this thing or not? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like the sign says, you just got to execute at the end of the day. So go ahead and execute and figure out, okay, this is a sale. Are we going to make the sale? I think we are.
And I feel like this kind of ties in with the first tip, with be confident. If you're confident about what it is you're selling and you truly believe in it, you should have no problem asking for the business.
Right?
You shouldn't be scared.
Yeah. So you can, and we just went all the way full circle there.
Yeah, we did. Awesome. Okay. Well, is
that
all you got?
Chats. Do you see the chats on your end?
Yes, I do.
Mary Jane Page put down this reminder she gives herself. Don't speak, Mary. I like that. I like that she reminds herself not to over talk or speak over her clients, and a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
You got to give yourself little reminders, because these 5 steps they won't happen automatically. It'll take some time.
I think luckily for me, I have the opposite problem. I'm a very good listener, but then with that comes the awkward silence that I have to deal with. So, okay, well, if that's all we got, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our quote of the day before we close.
All right, let's bring it home.
Okay, cool. So, quote of the day is from Brian Tracy. And the quote is, approach each customer with the idea of helping him or her solve a problem or achieve a goal, not of selling a product or service. Beautiful.
I think so. And we just harped on that. He summarized that up very well, didn't he? Like, you have to solve the problem. And the tricky part is sometimes it's not the problem that the borrower, the customer, or the buyer thought that they had. Sometimes they actually need the opposite of what they're asking for because they didn't understand what their problem was. Or they didn't understand what all the solutions were. Your job as a sales professional is to ask the right questions, propose a solution that puts them in the best situation possible. And you have to believe in it.
Right. It's our job, tying back into leadership, we want to serve people. And we serve them by selling them things that, again, we believe in. We're not trying to scam anybody. Like, we love our product. We think you really need it and it's going to help you out. So
true.
You're going to buy it today?
Right.
For the business.
I like it.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay,
Salesgrammar.com. Go check it out. We've got all the blog posts there, right? I think you just posted a new one yesterday or the day before.
It was today, actually. And it's Find Your Wellness Rhythm.
Okay.
You got to take care of yourself to be successful, right, in the workplace. And I'm thinking next episode, I know you and I need to kind of speak on it more, but I was thinking next time we can talk about team building, like different ideas, things you can do with your team to get to know one another. And because I feel like, a lot of leaders, they just sit there and they're like, okay, what do we do? What's fun? What is everyone going to want to do together, So
I like it. Yeah, team dynamics, definitely very important. And I've got a lot of sales team theories that we can talk about.
Cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this again next week.
Heck yeah.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. And the replays are up on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook Live. I don't know. We post this like everywhere, don't we?
Yeah. I think you said it doesn't pop up on Instagram, right?
Yeah, no Instagram. We'll work on that.
All right, we'll get there.
All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.